Awesome. Jamie, thanks for joining us. Washburns. Hey, Justin, will you go ahead and pray for us?
Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
God, I just pray for you to be with us and that you will guide our conversations and that everything that we talk about is your will, not our will, Lord, that we're just trying to reach these kids through VBS, and that you will help us prepare. And just like your word says, that we're just trying to prepare for the harvest is plentiful, and just preparing for the harvest and trying to make sure we're ready for your spirit to reign on us, and reign on these kids. We love you. Jesus' name, pray. Amen.
Amen. Hey, so here's something that was kind of cool. I was thinking about this as I was driving to Conway. We're like 10 weeks away. And I feel like we're in a good place. I feel like we're where we need to be. And that's statewide and then also at least at West Little Rock. So here's just a reminder of where you should be. So where you should be right now is you should have dates knocked out, and I think everybody has that. Promo materials ordered. Pretty much everybody has that. I mean, I think everybody has that done. You should know your budget from your campus pastor, and if you haven't figured that out, you're going to want to follow that up. And then you should have either yourself as somebody else as a VBS director, and then you should be finalizing and landing who's your people director, who's your decor director, who's your stage director, who's going to oversee activities for you, who's doing food, who's going to be your small group leader trainer, and then under that, who are your color team leaders, and then who's going to run VBS Junior for you. On the Slack, I left a link that has our agenda document. You can look at that. It still has that list. And so I'm just kind of curious because we don't have a whole lot to cover tonight. So I wanted to give kind of a chance for some status reports. Jamie, why don't you go first? How are you doing at finding your directors for Saline County's VBS?
I still have some work to do on it. I have a few, and then I have ideas of who I'm going to ask. And so I'm happy to know that you feel like we are right where we need to be, because I saw the calendar the other day and I was like, holy moly, I haven't done anything, I feel like. So, but I also know, I was talking to Chad about this the other day, just, it's one of those things where as it gets closer and closer, it's, there's more things, but these meetings definitely help. And then just you breaking it down, like these are our goals for this week. That I need that personally, and so that's very beneficial.
Love it. Yeah, Tanner Bazette, I checked in with him and how they did Collide. Ours is different because it's at every campus, but having these kind of periodic update meetings was something they did, and I was like, oh, I love that. So I'm glad to hear that it's going. So again, here's really kind of what you think of. Like in 3 weeks, our first round of VBSs start going live with like volunteer registration and promotion and that kind of thing. And that's when your volunteer meeting starts. So as long as you have all your directors in place by then and they know their role well enough to kind of be prepared to start prepping their teams, you should be fine. So, Washburns, what about you guys? How are y'all feeling as far as where you're at in the timeline?
We're kind of feeling the same way, probably. We have a few in mind, but we're behind in our father-daughter date night and a huge citywide Easter egg hunt. So we have a list and we're working through it.
Yeah. So Washburns, y'all are. This is the Death Valley of kid life, like because everything is stacked on top of each other. Easter, VBS, camp, like it's everything. I met 2 weeks ago with Pastor Harry, and I'll meet again next week. And it's just like, hey, Harry, how's it going? Like, it's crazy. And here's all the things I'm working on. And it's crazy because I get to do this full time. So I can only imagine what you guys are feeling as you also try to navigate other professions and other jobs. So, man, just love how your perseverance and the way you guys are sticking with it, and so great job. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen with us real quick. Boop and doop. so that hopefully you guys can see this. I'm going to go ahead and make it bigger now here. There we go. Boom. And so I just want to run through just some things so that you can kind of see it, and then give you our next 2 weeks, which is pretty much the same thing we've been doing, as well, one other thing. And then I want to have plenty of time for questions and problems. And if last year's pattern holds true, this is going to be a fairly short meeting. And so in the agenda document, Creative has this VBS directory that they've provided for us, and it's from their perspective, all the stuff that we need. Your admin probably has already received this admin checklist, and it's all the things for a tier 1 event that they need to be aware of. So hopefully your admin may be even more aware of some things that you are at certain times, but we're always going to get you up to speed on that. So that's something you can look at. Take a look through, and but again, it's just there for you, and it'll have all the information there. All the VBS print items are in Mark, and so we need you to, and we kind of mentioned this early last week, we need you to make sure that all your things are updated. And so that's in Mark, which used to be Lucid Press. And so if you don't know how to do that, tomorrow, reach out to your admin, or to this evening, send them a nice text. And let's see. I just want to sign in. There it is. But all the stuff, forget it. It's all there. Just make sure that you have a folder with your campus name and all the things. So like bathroom posters and rave cards. Just make sure they have the right date for you. To go there. Want to give you a heads up on April, and so this is a calendar that our project manager has made for us, and so we've looked at it a couple of times on this call, but I want to just look at over it again, just so you can kind of see where you go. Because April, so March is like run with VBS. April, which is fortunate because of Easter, it kind of slows down, and then May and June, it's run. And so, so you can kind of see this is all the stuff that's happened in March. Lots been going on. Oh, and just so you know, dark blue is Creative, light blue is you guys, red is me and some other folks. So April 2003, you'll notice that there is no blue. There's no light blue, but there is right here. Your registration links are done. Those are already finalized. You just need to update the registrations, and on Slack I posted that middle of last week. Promo print complete. Again, to make that happen, we need you to make sure that you get those things updated in Mark, and then they're gonna check it and approve it. So again, if tomorrow I'll check in Mark, and if I don't see what you need, you'll get a text from me. So that's where we're at there. Again, in Easter, Creative is doing a lot of work. After Easter, if you're doing the first week, so you're doing 12 through 15 of June, VBS promo begins on the 16th. However many weeks you are behind that, just push this back. So 8 weeks out, you'll start VBS promo where you're really pushing for volunteers. 4 weeks out, you'll really start pushing for kids, for parents to sign up with kids. The only thing that's left for us is, and I don't know if we've mentioned this thus far, is contents for a booklet and a pop sign. So here's what I need you to do is, if there is a directional sign or a pop sign that you're like, oh, hey, for our campus, we need this, make sure to email that to me at klittle@newlifechurch.tv. And most of the time, if you need it, we'll get it. If I'm like, I wonder why you need it, I may reach out. And the other thing is that one of the things we're doing different this year that we didn't do last year is with a science-y theme. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to do lab booklets. Like when you're doing a lab, you get kind of a lab book that you kind of work your way through. And so we're going to be designing it to where basically each kid will get a book that has main points, different challenges, different things that they'll keep with them during VBS that they'll be able to fill out and take notes while speakers are speaking, just do different things during meals and things like that. So again, April, that's really all that's coming, y'all, and that's the only thing that's left for us, because then in May again, Creative starts pumping out a lot of things that we'll be using from them, and then just a lot of practical things for the campuses from that point. And so that is where that is. Any questions so far about the VBS directory, about the updating things in Mark, or just kind of what April looks like in the calendar? Any questions?
I have a question.
Go for it.
Our budget, and this is not a complaint, this is a very good thing, but our budget was significantly larger this time than it has been in the past.
Cool.
So I didn't know if that was because we should be seeing like an influx of things that we're going to be ordering, and then if there is some kind of, I don't know. I know for me it would be really helpful if it's like, okay, whatever your budget is, I know it's different at every campus, but like 15% of that should go towards your environments. 50% of that should go towards your food, to give us an idea. I may be off because we went way over last year too.
Yeah.
So they may be like, well, you need more. So I don't know. I just know that would help me a lot. And that may not be something that you can do. And I understand that.
That's a great question. I'm going to tell you, it's funny. I love numbers, Jamie. But I've always had a campus pastor that was basically just like, make it good. And
Yeah.
I've never been frivolous or just wasteful with money. And so I've never really had to monitor and manage my budget all that well. And so here's what I'm going to do. That's a great question. I'm going to reach out and I'm going to, I'll find somebody whose numbers I can borrow and give you an example. And so percentage breakdown of a VBS budget.
I just don't want to be using more in one area that I feel like is important, but then it may not be, you know?
You got it. So, last year we had a really sweet deal with Dairy Queen, and we definitely don't want to assume that that's going to happen again. But over the next 2 weeks, that's one of the things that we're going to be trying to do as kind of a VBS lead team, is seeing if we can't make that happen again this year. And so in 2 weeks, we should have an idea of whether or not that's going to happen, because that will be a pretty big swing one way or the other for VBS budgets. I will say this. Do food as cheaply as you can. Always think experiences over looking. And so, like, a really good but out in public activities are some of your best decor, because the kids see it and go, oh, I get to do that. And so I'm always going to tell you to spend money on activities. And the decor is always to some extent going to be expensive to do it right and to do it well. And I'm about ready to show you some ideas, and we don't have any dollar signs on them, but I just want you to see what. So Audra Allen is leading our statewide environments team. She did it last year, does a great job, and I want you guys to see that. So I'll find that from somebody, Jamie, and give you a couple of examples on this agenda document. I'll let you know whenever that gets updated. Washburns, any questions or thoughts so far? Okay.
I don't think so. That is a great. I like where she's going with that direction. I think right now we're kind of trial and error and learning as we do it.
Yep.
So not really any questions that we aren't like reaching out to you in the moment, I guess.
Fair enough. Okay. So I'm pretty excited. Let's take a look at what Audra, and there have been some brainstorming meetings, just so don't think that Audra's in a dark room, like just crafting her own little evil mastermind plan. This is definitely some things. So we have a couple of photo ops that we're working on. One is the books of the Bible, but periodic table kind of format, and then a lab desk with some beakers, flasks, etc., so they can hop in, put on some lab coats and crazy wigs, or not wigs, depending on how you feel about lice, and just take a picture there. The other one reuses So if you remember, some of us bought this generic VBS thing. I did because I like to reuse things and not spend money again. And so as I was driving into Conway, I was like, oh, I see now where Audra got this idea. They have orange chicken wire everywhere on their campus, like wrapping construction vehicles and everything. So it's basically creating it to make it look more kind of hazard, sciencey. And then there's these sweet toxic waste buckets that I think will be a lot of fun and really cool. If you just had one photo op and it was this, and you wanted to pull in the lab equipment here as well, I think that would be great. But again, then you just have lab photo pops and things like that they can use. And so those will be two great opportunities. A couple of other things is creating, these are all like made of pool noodles and other type things, big DNA strands hanging from the ceiling, big molecule models hanging from the ceiling. And we're also like, G-force, which is both the force that gravity causes, as well as we're calling G-force also as the God force, and that's the Holy Spirit who is active and pulling us to God and guiding us to Him. So there'll be a G you can hang inside this little molecule thing. Stage is, again, some more orange mesh, some biohazard different things, some vinyl goo. And then here, I'm actually really excited about these. These are just ginormous flower. I was going to call them flower pots, but that's not what they are. They're vases. And then you just fill them up with water and then Orbeez. Y'all know what Orbeez are? Like, they start really tiny, and you can get like this one enough to fill this little thing right here would be just like $12. And so you put them in water, and they start tiny, and then they expand 100 times. So they're really cool, and then just some food coloring. And so I think that that's really cool. They have this listed as something on the stage. I honestly want to do it like in some of our photo ops. Just, again, it's glass, so it's always a little iffy, but you can kind of see that. I'm pretty excited about that. And then here's just some other extras. So again, just using green vinyl, but making it look like ooze is everywhere. Creating these bins and kind of putting them in different places. These are kind of cool. These are just things you can get on Amazon that Audra found, but they're just gel pads, and when you press into them, it leaves a handprint. And so just putting them, creating little outlines that say scan hand for entry, but then putting them on all your doors and having the kids scan their hands as they go in. It's just fun. It's just kind of lab type things. And so again, that's kind of where Audra's at. And so as you see that for the first time, what are your all's thoughts about it?
That looks awesome. It looks doable in different ways and for different campuses.
Yep.
But it looks sweet, and the kids would love it.
Yeah. Cool. Jamie, what do you think?
I like it. I think it's easy, and it will be, we'll be able to run with it and make a lot of things cheaply and like big items. I like the big items because you don't have to do as many, and they'll pop.
That's true. And the only other thing that I'm trying to think of is doing like something at check-in that's kind of like access, like lab access, something. I don't know, but it just came to mind as I was looking at all those things and checking all the boxes. Like, the only thing that really is because we have a few enough kids that we just use our normal check-in stations. But I'm just wondering, is there something we can do, like even at the check-in stations, like any kind of graphic or anything that, again, it just says like authorized access only, like just around it, so that it feels more accessing a lab type thing rather than just checking in for church.
Will we be decorating just the main areas or each room that we're using? Because I know we talked about smaller groups and more rooms that we're using.
Yeah, that's a great question. So just so you know, when I think of landing areas, I think of large landing areas. And so for me, like the way that West Little Rock works is you go into the cafetorium, which is just one big large area. And so I plan on that being the location for small groups. So that'll be one of the landing areas. So I honestly wouldn't be afraid if you don't want to use your auditorium, so people, like the people who are involved in stage, have a few more reps, then I would think, what are my biggest areas? Like I know, Jamie, you all have like that, the family room. So I would definitely make the family room something. And I would, any room that you use, I would do some form of decor, even if it's just putting some slime across the ceiling so it looks like it's coming out of the roofs, or you just put some slime buckets, or on the stage, you just create some tables where it looks like an experiment is getting ready to happen or has happened or anything like that. And again, just kitchen science. If you can't get like vases and beakers and all that, and you don't want to spend the money on it. That's my thought. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions about decor? All right. Like I said, today's going to be fairly short. So here's what you're doing in the next 2 weeks. Make sure that your promo items get updated by tomorrow. If I see that anybody hasn't done that, I'll be texting tomorrow just to make sure that happens. And keep pursuing those directors and coordinators. That's the biggest thing you can do right now, is to make sure that you have capable folks who can lead teams of people to make these things happen. Also in April, one of the things you can expect to start receiving are the packets. Like, the only real packets you're going to be getting this year is a stage packet and an activities packet. Because again, and a small groups packet. Small groups, activities, and stage. And a lot of that stuff has already been finalized. We just have to make it pretty and usable for you guys. And so again, we're in 2 weeks out for Easter. And so my guess is that all of us will be pretty focused on that. But we might have a couple of things that get finished that we'll be talking about in our next couple. And so anyway, y'all, that's where we're at. That's the next steps. Any other questions or problems you're running into that I can help you with?
I know we're not into merch yet for ordering that, but I hope that there is a bag option this year.
Okay.
Especially if we have booklets. We ended up giving those out to every kid last year because it's just so much easier for them to keep up with their stuff and Kids Life Cash and all that. So if that is not an option, can I request like the drawstring bags?
100%. And you guys probably have a big enough view, again, because like I think that the minimum quantity on that, Jamie, is 100.
Okay.
And so that's no big deal. Just so I get an idea, has anybody started talking with your VBS teams about the color teams that you all are going to do? Because as we're updating our registration pages, that's one of the things we have to kind of decide and put so that people can kind of prepare to dress that color. Have y'all talked about that at all?
We haven't. But we need that for our registration. Like, already need to know the colors and all of that.
No, it just helps when you go into customize. Like, we basically say we have some FAQs that are that's on the front page of the registration. You can just delete those if you're not at a point you're ready to answer them. But we just answer like, what should they wear? What are they going to eat? These types of things. And so what they wear is, last year we had those 4 dress ups. This year for us, it's just, man, go crazy with science and your color. And so we're doing blue and yellow. Like, those are our only 2 colors. There's 2 drop-off areas. So each drop-off area for us is going to be a color. If you're doing 3 drop-off areas, that way parents know, like, go to the yellow zone. It's in the family room. Go to the purple zone. It's upstairs in the Kid Life room. So it basically, then you can have even arrows and stuff that point to those different zones. So that's why color teams matters for us. And then also, like, if you're running like we're running, then you really only have 2 breakouts. So after stage, you'll have half your folks go to food and half to breakout, and then they'll switch and they'll go to small groups. And so that's why we went 2 color groups, because then it helps us to navigate that. So if you're going to run the play as we're writing it up, I would suggest an even number of color teams. just so you can say blue and red go here and whatever. That's kind of what we're doing. So the reason I asked the color teams is as we're looking at colors for drawstring bags, it's just nice to have a color that isn't a color team. And so we may even look at like a gray bag with like a bright purple, green, like neon green logo, because that's really prominent in all our stuff. So kind of. But I like that idea of a bag. That's helpful to have for sure. Okay. Any other questions, y'all? Okay. Well, hey y'all, thanks for hanging out. And again, just keep pursuing those coordinators and those directors. Keep your campus pastor informed on where you're at and what you need. So let me know if there's anything else I can do for you guys. All right.